One of the biggest things I stress in my book is that we seem to be divided, but I think that's more of an appearance, that we appear divided. We see Russia versus Ukraine, blacks versus whites, Democrats versus Republicans, old versus young, rich versus poor. This list that keeps going on. What I want to do is remind us that we are all one human family. We're not as against each other as we believe. And I point out how there's a way that we believe and hang on to the thought that we're powerless, we're incapable, or we're struggling. There's a way to break that. And that is my biggest message, is how to help people get unstuck from that way of thinking, that they feel stuck, they feel trapped, they feel powerless, incapable. That's what I want my readers to realize, that there is hope and they do have more control than they realize.
Everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have someone joining me from their car in the parked position. Yes, seatbelts disengaged, but we're recording from the car, which is quite cool. And Steve is here with me today. We're going to be talking about his book, his journey as an author. And I'm so thrilled. Steve's first time as a podcast guest on my show. I feel like I need to give you some kind of prize or something. I'll see what I can dig up. Right? Welcome, Steve, to Living the Next Chapter, man.
I'm excited. My first one.
This is great. Welcome to the podcast. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, Dave. Good to be here. I appreciate you having me as a guest.
I hope this is the first of many, because getting out there as an author and getting in front of an audience, telling them about your journey, telling them about your book, it's a great way to, A, sell more books, which is kind of the idea, but as well to build community around what you've done. So give us a little background. Steve, how did this all start for you becoming an author? Did you just wake up one day, you had a couple hours in your calendar, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to become an author because it looks easy? Is that kind of how it started, or was it totally different?
Oh, yeah, it was perfectly easy. No, just kidding. So I've always been the type that I like to write. I've always been a writer, but I've never thought of myself as an author per se. Basically, I'm more of a guy that's very observant, and I like to journal a lot. After a while, I'd be journaling, and I would just see things in the world that would bug me. So I would document that. And then the more I keep going, I keep seeing a trend, but I keep asking myself, what can we do about this? So my journal entries started turning into, what can we do about the things we see around us? What can I do about the world around me? So it started turning into a book, but it wasn't intended as a book. So that's how it started. I would run ideas past my wife, my brother, my friends, and they're like, wow, this is really good stuff. You should put this out there. So I said, I'll gather all this together. I'll see how it forms, put some structure with it. And here we have a book called Welcome to Earth.
I love it. So have you always been a writer then, from early on in your childhood, or is this relatively new for you?
Relatively new. Like I say, I've been writing my whole life. Yeah. It's something I enjoy doing, but I never thought of anything worth publishing to share with people. This, I feel, is actually something that people would find value in. They would, people look at the world and they say, what can I do? I've always wanted to do something, and I want to leave the world a better place than I found it. And I'm like, I start to realize other people want to do that too. Here's some ideas. And now I have basically a guideline on almost a roadmap, things we can do to improve ourselves, things that essentially, if we change ourselves, we can change the entire world.
I love it. Okay, so let's go back, rewind a little bit to some of those encouraging statements or things that your friends or family were saying to you about your writing. And I would love, for you as an author, to take those same things, some of those things you've heard in your past that encouraged you, take those same things now, and I would love for you to say them to an author that's listening who maybe doesn't get the same support that you've had. From one
Okay.
author to another author, what would you say to a new author who's struggling? They don't get the support. They're really trying hard, but they haven't heard anybody kind of come in their corner and say, you got this. Take some of those things you heard when you were writing. Can you share it with a new author that's listening?
Okay. So I do have a little bit of hesitancy when it comes to sharing personal things. So a lot of times I would write something, I would just keep it to myself. I didn't realize that other people have the same thoughts and feelings as me. So that's when I decided, based off the feedback I got, I decided things that you're feeling are also something that other people are feeling too. You're not alone in the way that you think. There's always someone else out there that gets you. So that's what I would tell the new authors out there. Any of you new authors, whatever you have to offer, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, someone else does find value in it. And I encourage you to write it down, to get it out there. And don't worry about the structure right away, because that'll come in time. I got frustrated with trying to get everything perfect, and that does not happen right away. In fact, it probably still is not perfect, and it's already published. So I would not stress about that. Like I say, it started as a journal. I encourage people to keep writing what they feel, and it will find the right audience. It'll find the right people that want to hear it.
I love it. Okay. And so, Steve, the other part is you have these people in your corner, your community, your friends, your family, who
Right.
love and support you through the whole process of writing. And I guess the one thing I love about a podcast is it's a chance for you to come on and talk about your journey, but then also to talk to your community. And if I got out of the way, pretend I'm not even here,
Right.
as your friends and family gathered around a room celebrating your book launch, and you were able to say a few words to your community in thanks and appreciation for their support while you write. If I wasn't here and just they were here, what would you like to say to your community in appreciation for what they've done for you?
Yeah, I would like to tell my community, thank you for giving me the opportunity to present myself. I know that I'm a new author, and it might be difficult to try to find what you're looking for when looking, when trying to find that book you want to read. I appreciate anyone that takes the time that says, hey, Steve, I want to read what you wrote. This is important to me. And that's what makes it worth it. Because yes, I do write for myself, and I love that. It's different though when someone else sees it. And I really appreciate anyone that gives me the opportunity to express myself and to even challenge what I write, to say, I don't know if this works, or maybe that doesn't work for me, but at least we can open a discussion. That's what's most important to me. And that's very rewarding in the writing process. And I didn't really expect to get the support that I am getting. That was, like I say, I was writing this for me only. And now I see other people like it. And that means a lot. So thank you to my community. Thank you to anyone that gives an opportunity to me reading and reaching out to them. And I encourage other readers or other writers to do the same, because people want to hear what you have on your mind and in your heart.
Amazing. Okay, so how are you a different person from the beginning of writing this and compiling your journal and working through it to today? How are you a different person in the process?
I don't know if I'm a different person. I do have a different perspective, because when I was writing, at times I would notice myself getting a little bit angry because I see things that just bother me. I see people fighting over things that I don't think we would normally fight over under regular circumstances. So I started to get angry, and then I would go back and self edit, and I would read it. I'm like, wow, I was mad that day, and that's not me.
Yeah.
I'm the type that when I see something negative, I'm pretty good at turning it positive, and that bugged me about myself that I was seeing that in my writing. And I'm very happy that I saw that because now I can recognize it even better. And even though I guess I was a positive person, I can even work on that more today now. And I see it's changed everything.
Nice. And that has an impact on your relationships, your family, your marriage, everything, because
Absolutely,
you're a
yes.
different person, right?
Right.
I love it. Okay, so who inspires you as an author? Have you looked up to anybody that you're like, that person would be a great person to meet, or I love their books? Are you an avid reader yourself?
Um, I admit I'm not an avid reader. Um, I started reading probably for the last maybe 2 or 3 years. Um, I love learning. That's that's what's great. For some reason, the words on the page don't always agree with my eyes. So I like to listen to
Yeah,
audiobooks. I've gotten into that, and
good.
which this book will very soon be turned into an audiobook because I appreciate the value in that, and I think others might too. Um, but one book that got me thinking when I was writing this was George Orwell's 1984. Um, he made a fictional portrayal of what the world might look like in the future. And some of the things he writes are pretty disturbing, but it's also eye opening how somewhat accurate he got with certain things. And I'm thinking I'm not the only one that's seeing stuff like this. So again, I get back to, yeah, I'm writing about what I see, but I'm changing it into what can we do about it? I want to do something because, like a typical guy, I suppose, I see a problem and I want to find a way to fix it. So that inspired a lot of my writing. Um, Also, not an author, but a comedian, George Carlin.
Yeah,
He pointed out a lot of things that bothered him about society. As much as I respect his viewpoint, uh, there's a big difference between him and me. He still believes there's no hope in humanity. I believe 100% there is hope and that we're not a lost cause and that there are ways that we can turn things around and head back into the right direction.
very good. That's what we need more of right now. I think
Right.
I'm up in Canada. We have our own Canadian things going on.
Yeah.
World around the world, though, there's just this ominous cloud around
Right.
everything we do. Our interactions with people,
Right.
we're judged before we even speak.
Right.
You don't know if somebody's a friend or foe.
Yeah.
All of this stuff is kind of this thing that's going on, and I think we're so disconnected, even though we're so connected right now through social media and everything else. We're
Exactly.
still so disconnected. So anything like your book, I think, would be a great shining light to bring people together and help us to have more conversations and do stuff like
Right.
this. I think that's a great side benefit to that.
Right. I find that technology is a wonderful thing. And I also see that it's also very damaging if we let it take too much control and consume our lives. That's one of the main things that I noticed is that it seems like technology is supposed to connect us more. But for some reason, it feels like it's pushing us further apart. And we're seeing more discord. And instead of cooperating, we're fighting. And while technology is a wonderful thing, one of my things that I stress in this book is a digital cleanse. Not getting rid of it completely because it's not completely bad. It's just something that we could be aware of and put aside a little bit more than we are.
I think we needed a digital diet. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And the cleanse. That's a great idea.
Right.
Okay, so take us deeper into the book for somebody who's going to buy the book, a new reader. What are your hopes for a new reader as they crack the cover for the first time and fall in love with what you've written? Do you have any hopes and dreams for that reader that we can share with them?
One of the biggest things I stress in my book is that we seem to be divided, but I think that's more of an appearance that we appear divided. We see Russia versus Ukraine, blacks versus whites, Democrats versus Republicans, old versus young, rich versus poor. This list just keeps going on. What I want to do is remind us that we are all one human family. We're not as against each other as we believe. And I point out how there's a way that we believe and hang on to the thought that we're powerless, we're incapable, or we're struggling. There's a way to break that. And that is my biggest message, is how to help people get unstuck from that way of thinking, that they feel stuck, they feel trapped, they feel powerless, incapable. That's what I want my readers to realize, that there is hope and they do have more control than they realize.
So I've had other authors on that have written it more in the style of a daily journal, like 30 chapters, 30, writings that they've been sharing with their audience. Is that kind of the idea for your book? Is it meant to be a journal, or is it meant to be read as a all-in-one type thing?
It is a all-in-one. It is from start to finish. But I do foresee in the future that this could become a series, because this title is Welcome to Earth. And inevitably, I'm talking about modern society. So you're going to hear a little bit of, I touch on politics, religion, and beliefs in general. So I could see later on after this being more of welcome to politics, or welcome to religion. My one buddy, he has a very interesting take on the book of Revelation. He suggested making a welcome to Revelation, because he finds this time period that we live in very fascinating, and the way it lines up, very fascinating, the way he sees certain things. And that's something we're going to be exploring here in the future.
So we're recording, and you're in your car right now, which I find amazing. You sound great, yes, by the way. But if you reached over right now, there's a glove box there, and in there is your owner's manual for your
Correct.
car.
Yes.
So is this book kind of like an owner's manual to Earth? Is that kind of like the same thing?
Yes, actually, I use that analogy. In my book, your car has a maintenance schedule, and if you let your car go, it's going to get off track. It's going to get worse, and the longer you let it go, it's going to get very bad. But if you keep up with the maintenance schedule in your car manual, your car is going to take care of you. It's going to run great. And yes, that's exactly a great analogy of what I'm going for with this book. I'm glad you saw that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I haven't even got a chance to go through it yet. And I'm like, I see you in the car, and I'm like, just as you talk about your book, it just feels like an owner's manual. It feels like okay, you're new here. Here, this is the stuff you need to know, and I wanted you to hear these things and kind of help you shape some opinion and figure out what's happening here on Earth. So
yes,
I love it. It's kind of like a roadmap. It's great.
Right, exactly.
It's great. So, okay, the book has come out now. Is it actually out and available?
Yes, the free downloadable ebook is available as we speak right now. And that's available directly from my website, breaktheelephantchain.org. The paperback book will be ready very soon. I'm still working out the final details, and that will also be available directly from my website. And I'm midway through recording the audiobook. So that'll take some little bit of time to get together, and that all three versions will be available directly from my website. But yeah, right now, the ebook, it's a free downloadable ebook, is ready.
Okay, so you got to explain the name of your website. There's a story there. Come on.
Yes, break the elephant chain. Um, so I got that because I heard an analogy about how they train elephants, how they keep them from escaping, for example, from the circus. Um, what they do, they take the baby and they keep it tethered to a chain, and it's obviously strong enough to keep that baby from escaping. Um, he's going to try to escape, but it's just not going to work. So once that elephant becomes a fully grown adult, that exact same chain still works to keep him in captivity. They don't need big concrete walls. They don't need big steel bars. What's fascinating and a little bit frightening is that the only reason that chain works is because the elephant believes that it works. The elephant is only trapped because of his own thinking. And that, to me, was very eye-opening. And I was like, wow, elephants are powerful, intelligent creatures. And humans are intelligent, powerful creatures. That is something to be explored. And that is something that I use in my book to point out that we are not as trapped or stuck or incapable as we might think we appear to be. There are things we can do to break that chain, or break the mentality, or break that belief that we can't do anything. Because we all know that 4-ton giant adult elephant could easily break that chain only if he wanted to. But like I say, it's a mental thing, and that's the only thing that keeps him in captivity.
I saw a video. My wife grew up with horses, and I saw a video of a guy jumping down off his horse, tying his horse up to something that was not really permanent. Like the
Right.
horse could easily walk away.
Exactly.
But the horse in their mind was, well, I'm tied up, so I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
And it's like, had the horse realized that whatever they were tied to was temporary and they could just walk off,
Right.
they could have done so. So it seems like very similar to the elephant chain. I love this. Okay, give us an example of a chain that maybe your book addresses, or maybe that we're struggling with, that we will find some kind of guidance through reading your book that we can break, maybe.
Yeah, some people, they might feel either stuck in an unhealthy lifestyle, or they might feel trapped in a job that they're miserable, or just generally they might feel incapable of improving their life. Any of those things, they might seem like, oh, that's something I can't fix. I can't do anything about it. But there are small steps that you can take to begin fixing that. And you can begin to break those mindsets that keep you in that feeling stuck or powerless.
Amazing. Okay, this is good stuff. So how many books do you have in your mind then, now that you have one done? You're talking about a series. Like, is this unlimited, or do you kind of have what you're thinking about that?
Like I say, right now I have one. It could be 2, 3, it could be 10 or 20. But yeah, it will be the Welcome to series. I think my wife is a nurse, and I think that would be nice if she could shed some light on nursing and different things for people to get familiar with when they enter that field, and shed some light and open people's eyes and help people realize that. So it could be a welcome to nursing someday. So it could be unlimited. And now that I got this written and published and it's out, I feel like I can start writing again and keep exploring what else can I help other people to realize, to improve. I basically want to encourage people to be the best version of themselves. And I've learned that my purpose in writing is not to document my findings. It is to find solutions and to help people realize and to encourage them what they're capable of.
It's good. It's good. Anything that when you look back at writing the first book and as you look towards the future, maybe writing the next one, anything that you might do differently the next time around that you learned in the process of writing the first book?
Yes. This is probably some advice to some new authors out there if you're listening, because I know you are. I will be structuring what I write a lot more clearly right off the bat. Because the last one was just a disaster. Just a lot of thoughts and ideas scattered all over the place. Now I want to structure it better the next time I write. And the reason I say that is because I had to formally apologize to the people I had read my second draft of my book because it was atrocious. And they were kind enough to say, yeah, this needs to be rewritten. But they were encouraging, and it turned into a nicely structured outline, I guess. And that's what I'm going to use next time, is a nicely structured, this is a clean way of how I want to write it next time.
And that's the one thing we learn, right? We learn by doing.
Right.
You can read books about writing a book. You can watch videos about writing a book, but you're never an author until you write the book. I talked to somebody recently about a podcast, and they said, you're not going to be a podcaster until you create a podcast. You're not a bungee jumper until you jump.
Right.
You might be an expert in bungee jumping and know everything about it, but you're not a bungee jumper until you actually leap off the platform for the first time. That's right. When you become a bungee jumper.
Right.
So there's no bungee jumping without bungee jumping. There's no writing a book without writing a book. So there's a lot you learn just by doing. And I think every time you do it, you're going to get better and it's going to become a little easier and you're going to grow in the process as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely look at my first draft every once in a while just to remind myself how far I've come. And I look forward to the day when I'm on my 10th book and I look back at this one, I'm like, wow, that was awful. But like you said, you got to start, and people will appreciate it, which I've learned. You're not the only one that thinks the way that you think. There is another person out there that appreciates your message and where you're coming from.
So beyond being on this podcast, which I'm grateful that you're here, what else do you have planned to promote the book and tell the world about what you've written?
I will be promoting on social media, which is ironic because part of my message is getting off of social media and taking a little bit of a break.
Good.
But it is a blessing and a curse. So I am using it to spread a positive message. Right now, there's no price tag on my book. Like I say, the ebook is completely free. If you speak English and have an internet connection, the book is yours. It's ready for you. All you got to do is click a button on my website and it's all yours. Paperback versions, I'm still working on the details, but I do want to give away a handful of those. Haven't figured out how yet, but that I'm working on, and that'll be on social media. You can see how you can do that. And then the audiobook will also be free download. That's just something I just want to give to people. I do know, I know truck drivers appreciate that. And I know that they do a lot of hard work out there, and that's something I'd like to do and help them enjoy their route a little bit better. It gets a little lonely, a little boring, and here's a little something I want to give to you that you can enjoy.
Steve, in over 300 episodes on this show, no one has ever said those words as a guest on this show. So you have just blown my mind. That is amazing.
Right. Wow.
So for
That
you,
wasn't the plan, but
that's
I'm
good.
appreciate that you are amazed.
So if you're listening in the truck right now to a podcast or to the audiobook in the future, thank you. It's a great gift, Steve, that you're giving that away as well. And, that is a lonely job for people to be in the cab all day by themselves doing the miles. But
Right.
what a great audience to have in mind when you're recording, to be thinking of them as you hit record and read out your book,
Right.
knowing that somebody's going to listen to this somewhere.
Right.
That's kind of
Yes.
nice to have them pictured in your mind as you're doing that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I hope they appreciate that because I know they work hard and they sacrifice a lot to do what they do, and that's they have a soft spot in my heart for them.
It's amazing. Okay, so Steve, we're going to close off here in a moment, but again, tell everybody about the website and maybe where you're most active on social media so that they can follow along and be a part of your writings and your story as this unfolds. Where do we connect with you?
Yes, the website is breaktheelephantchain.org. That's where you can currently find my free downloadable ebook. I have a blog. You can contact me there. And I have my social media links up there as well. I am most active right now on Facebook, Instagram, somewhat on TikTok. That's starting to get going a little bit more. And soon you'll be able to find my paperback book and my audiobook on my website as well.
Good. Yeah, TikTok is becoming a really good place for authors. I'm quite amazed that many authors find a lot of success there, able to grow an audience and community. I know it's another thing to do on top of everything else, but there's a lot of people there looking for their next great book on TikTok. So I'm glad to hear that you're working with that and have some plans for that as well.
Right. Yeah. It's exciting and it's eye-opening how much there is to do after the writing process is done. I thought finishing the book was the hard part.
Right.
Now comes the work. I'm just starting to realize that, though.
It's amazing. Okay, so Steve, one last question before you go. If your community was to gather around and you're not in the room and the topic of conversation comes around to you as a person, what do you hope that people would say about you if you weren't in the room at all? What would you hope that they said about you?
I would hope people would say, wow, this Steve guy has some really, really good ideas to help other people, and he's got a really big heart. That's what I would hope they would say. Additionally, I would hope they would actually do some things to create that positive vibe around them also, to spread it to their circle of friends and family. It's almost like a domino effect. Just keep it going, almost like keep the love going. That's what I would like to see. And I hope that's what they're saying about me. That would be great if people would see that we all have that goodness in us. That's what I want people to know the most.
Well, Steve, in our short time together, in our pre-chat and today, I'm seeing it in you already. So just so you know, you're on the right path. And nice. I'm excited to know what's coming next for you. And again, to your community for supporting you and being there for you, encouraging you. There's got to have been days where writing this book was a chore. And you're like, man, I don't know if I'm going to get this done. But they were there cheering you on the whole time. And now they get to celebrate with you that it's complete.
Right.
It's got to be a rewarding experience for you.
It is. I appreciate you celebrating with me. It's an honor to be a guest on your podcast. And it's an absolute pleasure to be among the many authors you've invited to be on your podcast. Thank you very much.
You've earned your spot, Steve. Keep going forward, keep writing, keep sharing your message. We need more of you in the world right now. So as much as you can write, we need more of it because
awesome.
Our world is going in the wrong direction. We need amazing people like you to right the ship and get us back on course.
I appreciate the comments. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. So everyone, all the information's in the show notes to connect with Steve. Great guy, great author. You're looking for your next great book. Gift giving season's coming. there's all kinds of things you can do to support Steve in his journey as an author, and I would encourage you to do so. All the links in the show notes. Steve, again, thank you so much. I'd love to have you back in the future as you continue to write. Keep me in mind, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave.
Hey, thanks for checking out the latest episode of Living the Next Chapter. I'm so happy to bring on these amazing authors and to share their stories, but I do have to confess I have a problem. And people who know me best would say, Dave, you have more than one problem. My problem is I have more episodes than I can release to you through my audio host, but I have a solution for you. Oh, yes. Head over to our YouTube channel. Subscribe today to our YouTube channel, and you can get the most recent episode. I'm posting this episode today that I recorded today, and you can get it now on YouTube. Jump the line, move right past that big burly guy at the door. You can get right in and get the most recent episode of Living the Next Chapter on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go there. livingthenextchapter.com has all the information. And again, I want to thank you for making this podcast such a great joy to create. Catch you on the next one.
Hey there, fellow parent. If you're anything like me, balancing screen time for our kids is a constant struggle. That's why I want to share a little secret with you, KidsPod. It's this amazing app I found that's packed with podcasts just for kids. Imagine stories, learning, and fun, all without the screen. It's been a game changer in our house, keeping my kids engaged and their imaginations running wild. And guess what? It's completely free. So download KidsPod today. Trust me, it's a decision you won't regret.